Welcome back. In this section, we are going to talk about risks and monitoring required in Metaverse. And we have been telling that what are the shortfalls in Metaverse and what people are afraid of in Metaverse and Web 3.0. So let us find out what are those risks and how can we monitor that. So we have talked about the benefit of decentralization, but we also believe that decentralization may also lead to chaos. Why we are saying that? Let us find out those points. Number one, decentralization brings with it legal and regulatory risks, lack of regulation. For example, the banking institutions, as we know it, is regulated by a regulator. So if anything goes wrong, regulator is there to support or to protect our interest. But in decentralization, who are you going to track? Who are you going to report it to? Because the data itself is decentralized and posted and put into multiple, I would say, nodes, because that's how blockchain and distributed ledger technologies work. So that is one thing. There is no official regulator of this. So whatever you do there is on your own or on the mutual trust, because that is the basic of blockchain. We don't need a centralized institution, and that is the base of blockchain. So if you're regulating it, then that defeats the purpose of decentralization. So a lack of regulation will lead to chaos and also will lead to a lot of people maybe losing money, maybe losing their assets or something of that sort. And then few people will be able to earn money as well. So it's yet to be seen. Cybercrime, misinformation, hate language are difficult to handle online, as we know that anybody passes on these kind of comments, misinformation, anything that can post on Web 3.0, Web 2.0. But currently, it is easier to track the individual, and then there is police, there is law regulation to support it or to kind of penalize it. But just imagine in Web 3.0, where actually nobody controls that data, nobody owns that data, nobody can track that data. It will be really difficult for a regulator or for a police to track who is this individual. So even though it gives you the power of your data, it also creates a problem to monitor and to police that. Now we may say that we don't need a police or policing, but deep down we all know that it is helpful, it supports, it helps to create a harmony, it also helps to protect our asset, our lives. Just imagine if this would not have been there, it would have been a complete chaos. Or maybe, I don't know, if there is no concept of policing, there could be something else, but we don't know yet. But as the life we live in, we need these things, and we need our lives and our rights to be protected, and that's where these regulators come in. So why are we saying cybercrime, misinformation will be tougher to track? Because in a decentralized web, because of lack of central control, policing, reporting mechanism, consensus that yes, he has done a mistake or she has done a mistake or this institution has done a mistake, will be an issue. You can't do that in a decentralized manner because you don't know who is doing what. Definitely it will be tracked, it will be easier to identify, because if everything is digital, each and everything will have a trail, but it will be tough to identify. Even the police and the regulator, everybody has to be smarter. They might have to think. So if you know someone in the regulator or in some of the police who also needs to do this course and to understand what is a new type of crimes they will have to deal with, or what are new type of things that they have to deal with, or even the legal expert or the chartered accountants or the financiers, if they need to understand what they will have to deal in future, I would request you to please refer this course to them. I'm sure that you would have realized it's not a technical course, so it's not for technology geeks, and anybody can understand it really well. So that you can do at your own, I would say, uh, judgment if you find it useful. So again, a decentralized web would make regulation and enforcement very difficult. For example, which country's law would apply to a specific website whose content is hosted in numerous nations globally? Who will be responsible if caught, and who will be punished? So for example, if you have, let's say someone has posted some, I would say hate or a misinformation, right? Now, since the data is stored nationally and globally in different, I would say, distributed network, you don't know who is responsible. Right? Currently, what happens? A country's law apply if anything happen bad from that country or originates from that country. but it decentralized, it will be really tough. I'm sure that there people are working on it, people will have regulations, but currently just imagine who will be responsible if caught and who will be punished. Everybody will say, I didn't do that. It's a decentralized, I don't want to share my data. So those kind of things can happen. Then existing infrastructure and website needs a lot of upgrade, which means that if application will have to work on Web 3.0 with different protocols, these websites need to be upgraded, which means a lot of cost as well to the website, to the companies. So that is also one of the risks. I will not say risk, it's a cost for the companies. Potentially alter our sense of reality by injecting malicious content, changing how we interpret our daily experiences. Just imagine that, for example, if you're wearing a virtual reality headset for a longer period of time. Now, what happens? An institution which is providing you that experience can actually start influencing your behavior, because after, similar to the case that happens now, right? Based on your interaction with certain social media platform, these, in fact, many of the political parties also use these platform to talk about their agenda, to maybe to some extent influence the idea of an individual. Just imagine there it can also happen, right? Because ultimately these institutions are a way of advertising, to collect data, to influence behavior, to sell products. So there could be a chance that could be there as well. So hence there could be an altered sense of reality, because reality will be something else, but since it is immersive, you will be able to see entirely different reality. And here in a 2D and 3D, you have a choice to ignore it. But just imagine if you're immersed into certain experience and just looking at certain things, and certain things are coming from the left, from the right, from the top, from the bottom, you can't ignore it completely. And at certain point in time, either you will get out of that system, or you might get influenced to some extent. So that will alter our realities and also interpret our daily experiences in a different manner. So users in the metaverse can be prone to frauds as we experience in the real world. For example, someone say, okay, why don't you share your credit card data or debit card data? So, and in the real life, right, we face those challenges, or someone does an online fraud, or someone snatches something and gets away with it. So who is going to support you in that digital world? Whom will you go to? I would say for to handle to submit your grievance or to submit your complaint. In one of the news, there was a lady which got into metaverse, and she experienced something very bad. She has posted on internet, so you can search about it. So those things need to be done. Who will police that? Who will who will safeguard those things onto metaverse? So these are certain questions which are still unanswered, and that can only be answered once we experience it and once it moves to a more matured stage. So people will take time to learn this and to become mature on how to handle this reality, because as through COVID, many of us went online and started taking videos on Zoom, and still you will have a lot of memes, a lot of, I would say, funny videos on internet. Someone could not actually switch off the video and were doing something else and got caught. So still we have to learn, we had to learn a lot into this online ecosystem. So similarly, we'll have to learn something in the metaverse world as well. And if hackers get access to the device, they have the gold mine. So they do not need your consent. They can hack your device, they can take the data, and they can use it as they want. Companies will track the data to customize the advertisement and their offerings. It will be too open in the immersive experience, right? We all know, right? We discussed that the purpose of these marketing company and social media company is to influence behavior, to sell the product, to track an user, to do advertisements. And they are also, if you look now, most of the companies which are bullish or which are investing into metaverse are those companies which are either selling products or into marketing or into game, because these are institutions, or these are companies which sell products or use the data to curate the products or services for a customer. So that these are some of the risks that we feel is still there and needs to be answered. I'm sure there will be many other as well which we could not capture, but these are certain things. I'm sure that these things will actually help you to realize that metaverse is not only glorified. There are some social challenges as well which needs to be addressed. So that's all on this chapter. See you in the next chapter. Till the time, take care and see you there. Thank you. In this section, we'll talk about metaverse and privacy. In extension of the last chapter, we have talked about the risks and concern. Let us find out what are some of the privacy issues in metaverse that we think of. Number one, someone has said that big data does not fear fines. What big data does fear is the abandonment of the services by its user for new competitors, could lead to addiction, real life sense, and etiquette. What does this mean? So, big data means big companies. So, they do not fear fines. Just if you Google, you will find that there are so many. There is a huge amount of fines that have been put on Google for tracking data, not providing information, on Facebook on data privacy and everything. They have been, I would say, caught on different issues and remarks. And so those kind of accusations are still being made, and somewhere on the I would say, court has asked for fine and all those things. So this means they do not fear fines. What they are afraid of, if a user is abandoning its service, is uninstalling it, it's not using its services. So that's their afraid is. And hence, if you have any query or concern, if you file a complaint, it will take a lot of time. But if you put that or you tag the individual and the founder on the Twitter, on the LinkedIn, the social media, you might get a fast response. What does that mean? That what they care about is their image, about the user. If they are abandoning it, that is a bigger threat for them, or that is a bigger issue. So that is, I would say, one of the quotes by Alan Buxton, which is director of forensics at Secure Data Recovery Services. So that is a, I would say, quote uh, from there, and it could lead to addiction, real life sense, and etiquettes. Just imagine that in a virtual world you are careless, right? Because it's a virtual world, nobody cares, and there's no regulation or police, or there's no social manner. So a person who spends a lot of time there will actually also forget the social etiquettes in the real life as well, because for them it's not for them. Actually, the real life is virtual and the virtual life is real, because that's where they belong, that's where they connect easily, because that is created by them, that is curated by them, which means that it could lead to the addiction of the virtual world, because you can do a lot of things, and real life sense and etiquettes might also kind of get lost, or people will start forgetting, especially with the children or the younger adults, not the grown up, obviously, because they have seen a lot of life. But again, different kind of mentality, so things might also take a bad turn. Interface designers are tasked with making the UI addictive, playing on the habits and routines that give rise to dependency. First discussed in 2018, it is somehow still news and still unregulated in 2021. These companies actually pay a lot of amount to the interface designers to ensure. So for example, if you start looking at the YouTube videos, you will feel addicted, because it will give you the relevant videos to you on the basis of your search, so that you don't stop. Similarly, the case of Instagram or the Facebook, you keep scrolling, it will start suggesting you something which might interest you. And over a period of time, these I would say systems have become so smart that it can actually capture what your interest is. So you never come out of that setup. And hence, most of us spend a lot of time on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all the social media, because these institutions have created a system to make you addicted to their platform. And hence, they are playing on the habits and routines that give rise to dependency. So you become dependent on these platforms. This was discussed in 2018, and still it is not regulated. Still, I would say these are not regulated, how these institutions are creating an addiction, because there is no rule to it on this. There are rules for other type of addictions and everything else, but these kind of social addictions are not being defined and not being controlled or not being regulated, because of which people are facing different kind of psychological issues as well. So the way you move, your gait, your style, your finger tracking, gazing, pupil dilation, because you're using virtual headset, so the camera within that virtual headset is tracking your pupil, that on what things you get excited, because the moment you get excited, you become angry or you become sad, your pupil starts dilating, right? Becomes big or small, goes left, right. So that also get tracked. And just imagine kind of data that an institution can get, that if we give this kind of a stimulus, this is something they will behave. And if they are able to evoke that emotion, they can sell you any idea, be it of product, be it of service, be it of political things, be it of anything advertising that they can use. So that is also one of the privacy concerns that people are talking about. So they can kind of track everything. The way you move, how they will track with the gears. If you're playing game, they can capture your style, then your finger tracking, how they use finger tracking, because with fingers you can change the menu in the virtual headset as well, because it has a sensor at the front. So, and then voice as well, because you will be talking. Whenever you're frustrated, you'll start saying some nice word or bad word. So those kind of things, that how it will, the system will also train what kind of words you use. It can create your persona, the digital twin we are talking about. It will exactly start behaving the way you behave in a physical world as well. So these information will be going to the developers and marketing companies, which will be curating content for you. And though Metaverse states that data will be secured and owned by the users, but we all know nothing is free. People may enter the metaverse to share experience or assume identities that they cannot have in the real world. So people will think, okay, in real world I can't have a lot of things, but I have certain money. Let me live a king life, or a queen life or a princess life into the digital world. So that is also one of the assumption people will have, and people will enjoy being there. So you can be who you want to be in the metaverse, a virtual sense of achievement based on the cryptos and NFTs. So if you have money, if you actually have money, or if you have managed to get money from somewhere, could be legal, could be anything. So if you have that money, you can buy that crypto NFT. You can go to any place where you want in a digital world. You can just sitting onto your chair, you can just explore the entire world in the metaverse. So I know that this might be sounding a bit negative, but as we discussed, that technology is not only about positive things, we also have to understand the social aspects of it. So because whenever we have to design a solution, whether you are a technology person or a business person, you should be aware about its possibility as a technology that we have already discussed in the most part of this course. And now we are talking about the social aspect, so that you as a customer, as a developer, as a technology person, as a regulator, as an individual, you take a balanced choice on these technologies. So it could also lead to financial as well as virtual identity theft if the device gets hacked. Just imagine if you are saying that if all the information of you will reside on your physical device for the purpose of, say, ownership and decentralization and everything. Just imagine if the entire device gets hacked. So earlier what was happening is that your entire information was on a certain secure network, and if that network gets hacked, then your data is lost and you have no control. Now imagine if everything is residing on your device. But if your device gets hacked, then nobody is responsible. Currently, you can blame that, okay, I had my data on this server, company is careless, they lost my data. Just imagine if that data is stored on your own device. And if that gets hacked, what will you do? That will also give rise to certain, I would say, data company will say, okay, we protect your data onto a smartphone, so you buy a subscription for us. That again gives a rise to a different business model. So again, and there is no regulator to support that hacking. Policymakers must start thinking how to protect customers in the extended reality world. So as we discussed, policymakers, police, regulators, everyone has to be smart and have to realize the potential of it and the negative aspect of it. It should not happen that without understanding the potential, they say, okay, these are so many risks, so let us not use metaverse, let us not use web 3.0, because it has immense potential. If you use it positively, just imagine that you can actually teach someone, a student which does not have access to kind of a lot of things, and cannot go to school, can have a metaverse kind of or a web, or kind of virtual reality headset of a lower cost, and can learn a lot of things from the entire universe, which he or she can never afford maybe in their life. And even if they can afford, they cannot travel the entire globe. Whatever they are searching on the mobile phones, they can actually visualize, they can actually get immersed. Just imagine the type of potential. that imagine the type of creativity. Just imagine, since Web 3.0 allows every user to create a content, which means even that individual which does not have a resource can contribute to the entire universe, which can be beneficial for many other. Currently as well, Web 2.0 offers both kind of things. In this, you can also have negative or wrong intent people, and we also have positive people, right? And the way I am creating a course here, that is a use of Web 3.0 and also internet, right? People are using or misusing, I would say, internet as well for all other different purposes. People are spending time on internet as well. So again, if each technology has both sides, any technology cannot have only benefits. It will have eventually some negatives as well. So just by these concerns, we should not feel it's an evil which we will never try. It has a potential. It has an immense potential, and I would suggest you that you stop, rewind, and think about those benefits and what you would do if given a chance to use metaverse. But these things are important to understand, because if these things are not controlled, it will go beyond our hands and it will create a chaos into the entire ecosystem. So that was the purpose of including these topics into this course. In many other courses that you'll find, everybody's talking about technology. Oh, metaverse is great, Web 3.0 is great, there is $1 million, $1 billion industry and all, but very few will talk about the social aspects. And that's where our courses have a balance of technology and social aspects as well, which is the foundation of every individual's life. So that's all. Thank you so much. See you in the next chapter. Welcome back. In this section, we are going to talk about how our metaverse and Web3 should be, what we should aim for as a technology and as a socially responsible with human values. How do we want our metaverse and Web3 should be? These are certain things that we have observed from the course and from the different resources that we have used or referred to while creating this course. So again, we are tracking the entire, I would say, spectrum of metaverse and Web 3.0, and we'll keep adding a lot of resources into this course. So if you are part of this course, that means that whatever we add in future, you will get that free of cost as an extension of this course. So with that, let us go ahead and find out how do we want our metaverse and Web 3.0 to be. So we want that it should be respectful, it should be open, it should be accountable and decentralized. So the metaverse, to be more sustainable, it should be built on concepts like data sovereignty, privacy and governance as per the global and local standards, which means the data privacy should not be controlled by an international institution or international regulator or by the national regulator. It should also take care of the local standards and regulation as well, even though the data will reside on a decentralized server across the globe. Any data which is there onto that network must be adhered to the data privacy protocol of that country as well where the user is residing. Diversity and respect for everyone. No data based or AI bias that these people. So whenever you know that you might have read a lot of theories and a lot of articles that some of the institutions had started this artificial intelligence based engines which started, I would say, discriminating between people on the basis of their skin color, age, gender, and all those kind of things. So we want that the metaverse should be designed so intelligently that it should not kind of disrespect anyone on the basis of these things. No data based or artificial intelligence based, I would say, discrimination or abuse. Those things should not be allowed. And if that is being done, it is easier to report and also to get some resolution for that. It should be universal, open, and interoperable environments, which means it should not be silo based that if you're in this metaverse, you can only do this thing. And if you're moving to another metaverse, you will have to have a certain other experiences and certain other assets. So that should not happen. It should be universal, open, and interoperable environment. And we have talked about these things in the past. We are just summarizing it, that what we want our metaverse to be. Decentralized and data ownership. As we discussed, that it has to be decentralized because we want to control our data, we want to own our data, and anybody who needs our data should pay us because this is something who we are, and we have been giving our data, everything, to different institutions for free. Now it's a time to charge for our own data. Accountability and transparency on the use of data, which means that how my data is being used, which I would say the GDPR is a very good step into that data protection. But gradually, even those countries which does not have that infrastructure or that sophisticated kind of understanding or a regulation, that should also get protected. And there should be an accountability that who is using, and if that is being misused, how can we penalize them, how the data is being used. Everything has to be given to the user that, okay, we have used this data in this manner, this is what we have done, and this is how your data will be used for us, will be stored with us. So those kind of things are is important to in our ideal metaverse and Web 3.0. Careful onboarding of stakeholders or value providers, which means that whoever is getting onboarded onto metaverse, definitely the anonymity is important, but there has to be a track that who has entered into that metaverse and what kind of track that person has. And if someone is creating a nuisance, how can we report it? The same example that I gave you, that a lady went into the metaverse and faced some challenges or some issues. So who do we report it to? And what will happen with those individuals who are creating some nuisance into that metaverse and Web 3.0? So those things needs to be taken care of. And if we are taking care of these things and the principles and the rules that we have talked about in the throughout the course, then only it will become a respectful, open, accountable, and decentralized Web 3.0 and metaverse. And it will be the metaverse as we like it, and everybody will enjoy and will be able to reap benefits. But as we know, this is a wish list. It cannot be possible that everything will be solved by a technology. There's something that we also have to create. So that may remain a problem because we could not solve the problem so far with Web 1 and 2. I'm sure that a lot of problems will be addressed, but with the advancement of technology and expectations, there will be newer kind of things that may be waiting for us. But then we should be hopeful that with the technology, we can have an immense potential. Immense potential. A person who is sitting even the farthest of the village in a mostly excluded, I would say, place, who gets the access of, just imagine that, virtual reality and internet somehow, will be able to also learn about the globe, about what is happening across the world, and will never be, I would say, left out because of these things. And hence, many people also talk about that decentralized finance will also help in financial inclusion, blockchain will help in financial inclusion, metaverse will help in creating an inclusive world. So that is the beauty we are talking about. So that's all on this section. See you into our next course that we'll be creating soon. If you like this course content and if you feel that you have learned something, please do like and share your feedback with us, and also share this course with others whom you feel should know about metaverse and Web 3.0 now, because as we move forward, there will be things which will be changing. And as we told you that we keep revising our courses, we keep adding a lot of content into our courses on a regular basis. So even we are tracking Web 3.0 and metaverse, and the moment we get more information, we will create more videos and we will make it that as part of this course, so that the moment we add something, you will get notified and you will be able to go through those videos as well. So that's all, and thank you so much for choosing this course. Take care and start thinking about metaverse, Web 3.0, and fintech. Take care, be wise, use your financial judgment. Thank you.